Day 4! It's day 4, everyone. Can you believe it that we have made it over halfway through this challenge? I am so excited, and again, so inspired by those of you and how you're showing up for this challenge. Quick note to those of you that maybe dropped off after day 1, but you've been kind of watching the videos and you're feeling like, oh, I dropped the ball. I can't hop back on the bandwagon now. It is not too late for you to hop back on the bandwagon. You are always welcome in this challenge, and I want to make sure that you get the most out of it. So please do what you can to catch up on the action steps. You don't have to complete them all, but I would love for you to even just have the experience of doing some of them. So it's not too late. Stay in the game. I'm here for you. This tribe is here for you. Let's go ahead and hop into day 4. Good morning, Donna. Thank you for tuning in. So we have spent the past several days doing some really deep body image work, and I know that was not easy for most of you. And I always say to my clients, like, this work that we do on body image isn't for the faint of heart. So I want to congratulate and acknowledge each and every one of you for choosing to look at these parts of ourselves that have often brought up a lot of shame. And there's a reason that we start with the body image work. And the reason for that is because if you've struggled with the size of your body or your weight in the past, whether it's that you've been consistently trying to lose weight, always on a diet, or maybe you're always in a state of trying to maintain your weight or manage your weight, which was my experience for a very long time. When we're in that state, our food choices are often informed by how we feel about ourselves. And I'm going to share more on that in a little bit. But first, I'm going to take what could be an hour-long video and try to make it as concise and short as possible. So I'm curious for you. I have a couple of questions I'd love for you to ask yourself. Have you ever had the experience of potentially going out to eat with a group of friends or family members, and everyone at the table is like, ooh, let's order French fries. And immediately you're like, oh, French fries are, they're not a part of my diet plan, but I love them so much. Oh, well, I'm just going to tell them that I'm not going to eat the fries. And then the platter of fries comes out, and you say to yourself, okay, well, I'll just have one. I'll just have one fry, so you eat one. And then you're like, okay, maybe another one. And then before you know it, you're double fisting the fries, right? Or maybe you've had the experience of having like a really good day with food, and then you go home and then you feel like you quote unquote blow it, right? Or perhaps you've had the experience of actually choosing not to go out with friends or family members because you feel like you can't control the food choices that are available to you. And what I want to let you know is that all 3 of those examples, and so many more, are very real manifestations of what's called diet culture. And so for those of you that are not familiar with diet culture, here is a quick definition. Diet culture is something that we all exist in. We were all born in, if we were born past the year of around 1890, which I'm assuming most of you are. And it's a system of beliefs that values size, weight, shape, and external characteristics of the body over physical health and enjoyment of life, which, by the way, enjoyment of life is very important to physical health. And it keeps us reaching for every diet, every quote-unquote lifestyle plan in an attempt to change our weight or manipulate our bodies in some way. Yet, if you've been a part of this group for a long time, you've likely heard me say that diets don't work. Diets fail 98% of the time. And the quickest, most concise explanation I can give for that is that our bodies work counterproductively to restriction. So when we restrict food, whether that's counting calories or eliminating certain groups of foods, what happens is that our metabolisms actually start to slow down, our energy levels decrease, and our brains will actually switch on neural pathways that can induce eating. So cravings will be created, all of those types of things. And you might be thinking that, okay, well, I don't restrict calories, I don't restrict, macronutrients or anything like that. Hi, Sunny, thank you for tuning in. But something else I'm here to share with you is that we even experience restriction on a psychological level. So even the mere thought of, well, I can't have that food, I can't have sugar, I can't have gluten, I can't have dairy, I can't have, whatever it is, it can actually create compulsive behaviors and erratic thoughts around those foods. I always use the example, it's like, don't think about a pink elephant, right? It's like, don't think about eating sugar. It's like all of a sudden all you want is like a chocolate cake. Does that make sense? So if diet culture is what is experienced on a societal level, then the diet mentality is how we as individuals internalize diet culture. So the diet mentality is oftentimes what's informing our food choices. It tells us to make decisions for our body from a place of guilt and shame and scarcity and restriction, as opposed to pleasure and enjoyment and satisfaction and nourishment. The diet mentality robs us of our freedom around food, and it can prevent us from exploring joy and pleasure. The diet mentality also means that even if we're not on a specific diet plan, right? If you're not following a very specific diet, the diet mentality, if it's operating in your mind, it means that we're still on a diet. It means that we're still restricting in some way. And also, a quick side note on this, because this is something that's come up before. What the diet mentality is not, the diet mentality is not making modifications to one's diet for food allergies or diagnosed medical conditions. So I know that there's those of you in the group who have autoimmune conditions or other food allergies that need to make these modifications. That is self-care. That is beautiful. What I'm talking about here is quote unquote self-control and restriction for weight loss or body modification purposes. So, where to go next? Okay, so here's the good news about this. The good news is that a little bit of awareness around the diet mentality, right? So this isn't something that I expect that any of you are going to master overnight. This is really just an introduction to much deeper work that I do with my clients. But even a little bit of awareness around it and the tools to make a different choice, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, can lead to a really peaceful, a really liberating, and a really nourishing experience around food that's not fraught with stress, anxiety, scarcity, restriction. So today we're going to create some awareness around the diet mentality. And here's how we're going to do this. So I'm going to share with you a few ways in which the diet mentality might show up. So it might show up as counting, measuring, or weighing foods. It might show up as bartering with yourself. So if I do this now, right, if I run this extra mile now, then I can have the carrot cake later, right? Assigning morality to food. So this is something that's like a language thing that I have to work on with my clients, like assigning good or bad to food, right? Following a specific diet, whether that's gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, paleo, keto, any of those types of diets for weight management purposes instead of for a diagnosed medical condition or a social or environmental reason. Diet mentality also shows up as punishment, so punishing yourself after a big meal, so I'm going to restrict, I'm going to go to the gym. The Last Supper mentality, so this is one that people are always like, oh my God, yes, I do this. So the Last Supper mentality is meaning that it's like your last cheat meal. So a lot of people experience this on Sundays. They're like, well, Sundays are my cheat day, so I'm gonna eat all of the things and then I'm gonna be back on my diet tomorrow, right? So it's Last Supper mentality. Avoiding certain food groups entirely, so cutting out like carbs or cutting out fat entirely from your diet, and only eating at certain times of the day while ignoring hunger signals. So that's something that I did for a very long time, and it was so painful. And I know, like, I would cut myself off from eating after 6 p.m. and I would be starving by 9. And so I would just go to bed, like, so that I could, like, create a time machine to breakfast so I could be able to eat again. And it really just made me obsessed with food and uncomfortable around food. So yeah, so those are some ways in which the diet mentality might show up, and so many other ways. And so today's action step is just a curiosity action. So what I'm going to have you do is just sit down for 2 to 3 minutes and just write down the ways in which you, from your knowledge of yourself and from watching this video, you know that the diet mentality is showing up for you. I'm not going to ask you to do anything with it yet. We're going to talk about that more tomorrow, but this is just creating awareness. This is just curiosity. And again, this is not an opportunity to judge yourself. So we're not going into judgment here. We're not going into story. We're just going to, like, okay, curious. Okay, I see that, I'm still participating in this specific diet mentality behavior. I'm ignoring hunger signals or whatever it might be. And the proof for that is just to, it's one of two things. Again, you can either share specifics, so you can share one way in which you know the diet mentality has showed up for you, or you can just write about what you learned from watching this about yourself. So again, the level to which you share is entirely up to you. Do not feel like you have to bare your whole soul if that's not something you're comfortable with, and you're also welcome to do so. And of course, solidarity, encouragement, support, comment on at least 3 of your fellow participants' posts today. And that is it. I'll be back tomorrow for day 5. Day 5 is one of my personal favorite days, so I'm excited to hear what all of you think of it. I'll be looking out for your posts, sending you all so much love, and have a great day.